Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going. Close. I think he got it down.
How strong is he?
Welcome back to the Pick and Go podcast, your one-stop shop for all things rugby union. And I'm in studio by myself today as Piri Wipu is on his way or may have already made it to Japan. So hopefully we'll get a few stories from him when he arrives back in New Zealand. But I am joined once again by my good friend Ben Searle of Surly Talk Sports up in the Auckland, Auckland, North Harbour side of New Zealand. Surly?
Yeah, not quite Shield country. It looked all right for 40-odd minutes there. I got excited, man. I was sending out the messages. It's coming home, dare to dream, all that type of stuff. Didn't look good in the first couple minutes, but then the boys semi-bounced back. But, yeah, Otago far too good. Unfortunately, I'm glad I didn't go down in the end.
It's coming home. I don't understand it's coming home. Has it ever been there for other than 1 second?
And that saying is cursed too, because how's that worked out for England with the football? Not great. So maybe need to move on to It's Our Year, which is working for the Warriors New South Wales Cup team. We'll roll with that, eh?
Yeah.
And there we go. There's another friend of ours, Steve Devine, also from up that part of the world. Steve, you went fishing yesterday.
Yeah, had a great day out in the water with some friends from Australia. So they were very impressed of what some of our New Zealand coastline has to offer.
So are we talking we came home with a bit of a bounty?
I'll be eating fish for dinner tonight. Yes, we had a bit of a play with some dolphins and some whales. We had a pretty mean picnic in a nice secluded bay on the back of Waiheke. So it was a win and a win. And it was good that the Aussies finally got to experience a win in New Zealand.
Yeah, if only North Harbour could experience a win in New Zealand, that would be bloody nice as well. They got one more week to do it.
Oh.
We'll get to that a wee bit late. What?
I'm just very grateful that I don't have to blow up a Harbour Bridge this week.
Look, there's a few things that went on over the weekend. It was stacked full of rugby, but I guess we should start first of all with the punting, and we'll start with Steve first. He had a couple of bets last week. He had the All Blacks to win by 13 or more, $50 on that. That didn't quite happen, wasn't far away. And then he had a, 6-leg multi. Now, one of those legs was Hoskins Satutu to score a try. He, of course, did not partake on any rugby last weekend, so that leg just drops out. And the rest remains live. So he had Otago, Hawke's Bay, Tasman, Bay of Plenty, and Counties all to win. So a successful, 5-leg multi getting home for Steve there. Surly was also successful. He had 3 bets. He had the All Blacks to win by 1-12 at $3. He also had an NPC multi, Taranaki, Counties, and Bay of Plenty all to win. $25 on that, and his last $25 he decided to donate to the TAB because he put that on North Harbour to win by 1-12 against Otago in that Shield Challenge. And unfortunately, although at halftime it looked like it was still a chance, the home team were just a wee bit too good and ran away with it in the end. So Surly picking up some dollars there, up $111.25 for the week, only down $88.27 for the season. I had one bet. I had Hawke's Bay to win, Tasman to win, Otago to win, Counties to win, and the All Blacks minus 11.5, unfortunately, let down by the All Blacks there. I was down 100 for the week, up $861.58 for the season so far. Just double check. Yep, still up 800.
You just really like saying that, eh, Paulie?
I just wanted to double check those figures and
just triple check. Yeah, $846.
Yeah, okay. No, that was good. Righty-ho. Where should we go from here? We should probably go. Did I send out a run sheet? Yes, I did. Got a question for you two boys. The All Blacks keep the Bledisloe Cup for another season, having only won the first test. Should the series be a 3-test series to make it a true series? Or if it's only 2 tests, should it be decided by aggregate? So there's something still riding on the second test. But basically, the second test is a dead rubber in terms of the Bledisloe Cup. Of course, it's still very much live in terms of the All Blacks maybe winning the Rugby Championship. But when it comes to the Bledisloe Cup, Steve, surely we should make this a proper series, as opposed to the holder only really needs to win 1 test to actually keep the Bledisloe Cup in the trophy cabinet for another season.
I just feel we should, for a second, pause and think what the Aussies would do if the situations were reversed.
Yeah.
And there's no way they would ever allow anything to change. So let's keep it exactly the way it is, just like the Aussies would want us to.
No, Shirley, come on. That we cannot have a series where you win 1 game, that's it, it's all done.
Yeah, nothing grinds my gears more in the world of modern sport than 2 test series. We're seeing it pop up in cricket all the time now, and actual test match series as well. And yeah, I don't get it personally. I think it should be 3 tests. The current holder gets 2 home, and then there's 1 away, just so it keeps things alive. And that's the advantage of being the current holder, because yeah, it's just going to be so hard for Aussie to win it back. Like, if they bet us on I can't see us losing 2 games on the trot to them. And I get Steve's point. We don't want to lose it. So let's do the old America's Cup method and cater it towards the team that's got it at the moment. But I think in terms of the spectacle and the contest, it would be so much more exciting if there was a 3rd test on the end that adds a bit more spice to this weekend.
Steve, I know you're correct in saying that the Wallabies in no way would want to change the format once they had the actual cup, but to make it a proper sort of a competition between 2 sides, surely there needs to be more than just a holder wins 1, keeps it.
I think more likely to happen, instead of going to 3 in the modern age where more games is not the way, then maybe we should just go to 1. And
Winner takes all.
Winner takes all.
Like a grand final.
Just that's it. A winner takes all. 1 game for the Bledisloe, and that is on the game. Whoever is hosting, whoever holds it, it's that game. So it's their home game, and that's the Bledisloe. I know we've got to play home and away for the Rugby Championship, but just make it that 1 game as a one-off.
Yeah, I could get around that.
That would put some bums on seats, I would think.
Yep. Actually, I don't mind that. That's all right. I just prefer to see an actual series so that the best team over 3 or more games gets to keep or gets to win the actual Bledisloe Cup. But your point there, I do take. Make it just the 1 match at the holder's home ground. And if it's almost like a Ranfurly Shield challenge, to be fair, if the visiting team is good enough to win away from home, then they deserve to take the cup back home with them. So surely that's not the worst idea, to be fair.
Yeah, I think what we're saying here is that 2 is the worst scenario out of either would prefer 1 or 3. And yeah, this weekend everyone's saying it's a Bledisloe Cup game. Well, it's not really, is it? It's locked up. So it's just a game, an important game in the Rugby Championship, but Bledisloe's not on the line. It's already done and dusted. So yeah, 1 or 3. I don't mind the 1 idea. I would prefer 3, but like Steve said, it's a jam-packed calendar, and adding another test, something would have to give. We couldn't just add 1 in there. Another game would have to go.
The only other option would be to play. We like to play a game in the States or a game before the end of season tour. The other option is to make that game in the States or Japan or wherever it's played against the Wallabies. And like that's a trial match to the preseason tour just for all the big boys to have a hit out. So that is another option for your 3rd match, maybe every second year.
We have taken a test or two to the likes of Asia before, haven't we? Between the Wallabies and the All Blacks, I think, have they played in Hong Kong?
I think that's the one where Beeve had a bit of a shocker and didn't kick it out.
Yeah.
That
You
must
don't think you know exactly, don't you?
Yeah. I've got it written down on my wall.
Yeah. Oh well, he certainly came back and redeemed himself. Don't worry about that. It's all good. Okay, let's move on from that, and let's actually have a look at that test match at Eden Park once again. That unbeaten record remains intact for the All Blacks at Eden Park. Was it 52 test matches now in a row unbeaten at Eden Park? We go back 30 plus years. That's an amazing record. But what were your outtakes from that test match against the Wallabies, Steve?
Yeah, listen, I thought we're looking pretty good, and then we got a few injuries in a row. Bodie came off, Ethan de Groot came off, and there was just a bit of a lull. I sort of felt out the game, and the Aussies bounced back in with a couple of tries and made it competitive. I just feel we were okay. And maybe a couple of big mistakes by James O'Connor probably could have made things an awful lot closer. He missed touch a couple of times, which was, that I felt they were their moment. They had their moments. Late in the second half, the Aussies got held up over the line, and I just thought that was a massive minute. I said to my Aussie mate next to me, I was like, that could be the game right there. And Aussies got a penalty, and were kicking out, and O'Connor missed touch for the second time in the match, and I just thought that was probably the match. Something if that line out was in hour 22, with 10 minutes to go to get in front of it could have been a very much different ball game. But the All Blacks held on.
Certainly, the All Blacks rhythm was upset by a number of injuries, as Steve correctly points out, and they took a while to sort of get wound back up again. Were there any concerns for you during the game?
Oh, there were concerns. I think we're still far from our best, that's for sure. There were some positives as well, though. I thought Cam Roigard back in the 9 jersey was massive for us. The pressure he takes off our playmakers, his ability to just make something happen. He can shoulder a lot of the load there around the decision-making process, and he's just always in and around the ball. I think he showed how important he is to this team, and I thought that was the best our back three has looked as well throughout this Rugby Championship. So I think we've perhaps found our 2 wingers. We've had 6 different wing combinations in our 8 games this year, and I think we've finally found a combo. If Caleb is all right and good to go, he was another one that went off injured, and Kuntupai had to go onto the wing. But if Caleb's sweet and it sounds like he's going to be all right, then I think we've found our back three that we can roll with as well. So a couple positives there, and a back line where positives haven't exactly been coming from every game. But yeah, I thought Roigard's impact on this one was massive. In a game where we were still really patchy, he was the main standout for me.
Steve, Caleb would want his dad singing the national anthem before every test match, wouldn't he? That really was an emotional time for him, and he seemed to start the game on fire on the back of that emotion.
Yeah, I actually found out not long before kickoff, and I was a little concerned for you, Ronnie. I thought he may have bit off a bit more than he could chew, but wow, what a voice! Wow, like it was. I didn't know anyone in the stands that just didn't stand up and clap, and that was an amazing performance, and obviously emotional for Caleb, and then he was playing so well before the injury. Another thing that was really noticeable for me in the grandstands was the number of times the All Blacks from phase catch the ball standing still, and then try and gain forward momentum into contact. The Aussies, they didn't do much until the latest part of the second half when they scored a couple of tries, but their ability to catch the ball running at full pace and then sort of move quickly into contact and over the advantage line I just was blown away by how many times our forwards particularly catch the ball standing still and then try and build momentum. For me, playing footy 20 years ago, the worst thing you want, particularly against the Africans who are so big, is for them to get momentum up before they catch the ball. So I really feel it's a part of our game we've got to change. Having forwards standing flat, catching, and then trying to get a pass in or, do something it's just, I don't feel it's working. I don't feel we build any momentum. I find every ruck is a battle to get over the advantage line because we're catching it standing so flat and not running onto it. And, I just know as a defender, it's so much easier to tackle someone who doesn't have a head of steam up than someone who does. And I really feel that's probably the biggest part of our game right now, where we need to get a whole lot better, because this standing flat it just doesn't seem to work for us at all.
Yeah, we were pretty lucky. Aussie didn't exactly bring crazy line speed either, did they? And I think it got addressed at half time. And I think towards the end of the game, they started to bring a bit more heat. But like you said, if that was South Africa with that rush D, or even England, those teams like that, they're doing it so that we have ball playing opportunities right out the back. We can throw those release passes to our game drivers and things like that. But there's certain times in the game where you don't need to do that, right? There's areas where you can be flat and there's areas where you just need momentum to tuck and carry. Like, gain line is so important. We've seen it throughout the whole Wallabies Lions test, that the first kind of international games we watched this year. If you can't get gain line, you're done for. So I thought we were lucky that the Wallabies didn't bring the heat defensively, or else we could have been in a bit of trouble there.
I guess if other teams start to pick up on that fact, if the All Blacks continue to play that way, a very flat, sort of static offensive line, then you would think that defensive coaches of opposing teams would go, righty-ho. If they're going to do that, then we're going to have a wee bit of line speed defensively, and we're going to be the ones that have momentum as we get into that ruck maul area. It does seem a wee bit strange, unless this is just something that Ray's is working on at the moment, just trying a few things out before actually deciding on a solid sort of game plan. But if we look at that game, Surly, the All Blacks did get off to a very, very good start, and then found that flat spot. But if you look at the forwards or the backs, was there anyone there that sort of stood out for you? I think one name that will probably come to mind is Cam Roigard, who seemed to make a massive difference to the way that the All Blacks played. If there was one guy that was trying to go forward with the ball, or was probing for, I guess, slight gaps in that defensive line, it was him all match long.
Yeah, I thought he was really good. Like I said, I liked our back three. I thought they were impressive. I thought Quintu Paia was good off the bench in a position he hasn't played a whole lot of on the wing. I thought Peter Lakai was good off the bench too, just in terms of impact and trying to carry forward. Fabian Holland always impresses me. I love the work that he does for such a big body. He can go the distance. And I thought Tupou Vati was good as well. There's some chat around him being injured, so I'm interested to see team naming this week. Ardi again, just a standard Ardi Savea shift from him. But yeah, I think we were lucky Skelton and Valentini weren't available for that game as well, and they're back this week, I believe. So that'll really even things out. Yeah, we're still not the full polished piece. There were some positives there, but it was still far from an 80-minute performance that I think they will be content with. We got the win, and we did the main things. But yeah, maybe 5 or 6 standouts, but still not the usual 10 to 12 you would like to see from an All Blacks game.
Yeah, if we're talking about go forward, then Skelton and Valentini certainly will make a difference to that Wallabies team if they are selected for the next test. There are a couple of very interesting sort of betting trends during the game. We took quite a bit of money on Caleb Clark to score the first try while the national anthem was being sung. I don't know if there were punters were watching and seeing the emotion in Caleb and thinking, we should get on. This guy is going to have a bit. But they were right. Whoever did get on, they were right. I think he was paying around $8 to score the first try. And then during the match, about 7-8 minutes before Cam Roigard scored the third try, one punter put $1,000 on Cam Roygaard to score the third try at $11. And I'm guessing because he was watching the game, he could actually see that he was having a go with the ball and I guess was looking dangerous every time he sort of touched the ball. So, Steve, in terms of Cam, that's your position. I know we've got quite a bit of depth when it comes to halfbacks, but he's obviously the number one halfback in New Zealand right now?
Yeah, I remember a day when a lot of people were putting $1,000 on Steve Devine to score the third try.
You would have been paying 31s, not 11.
I would have been up by 131, I reckon. Wow, no, he's a class act, and he can play football. It wasn't for injuries. He's probably the best rugby player in the world this year, and that's where I think he's at. Really, he plays well. He runs, he passes. His ability, his repeated speed ability, he's obviously fit and strong and can run because he hits every ruck quick. He's there, ball's gone. He's got it all. He's got it all really, and I really looking forward to him putting maybe 10, 20, 30 matches together because he's a special talent.
Shirley, do we box kick less when he's at halfback, or is it just seemed that way and we box kick the exact same amount of times than we would with anyone else at the base of the scrum?
I think they're just better kicks, so we don't notice it as much, right? And I think Caleb needs a lot of credit for that too. He was up and contesting everything, and that's been the chat, right, is that he's our best aerial winger. Him and Leroy Carter, their work rate around the paddock, you could notice it a lot, and Caleb was chasing and competing and having a crack at everything. So, yeah, I'm not sure if we do kick less or if they're just better nudges, so it frustrates you a little less as well. But Roygaard seems to me like the type of guy, if it's on to run, he'll run. If it's on to kick, he'll kick. He takes a lot of that playmaking, decision-making away from that pressure, away from our tens, and he kind of plays a bit of what's in front of him while still sticking to somewhat of the structure too. So I love watching him play, and I feel like I say it every week, but his ability to be back to almost 100% off the back of injuries in a very short amount of time always amazes me. He has to be so fit, and his ability is unreal. I wanted to ask around the refereeing. There's been a lot of people, mainly Aussie fans, you can't get away from it on social media, saying that they were very harshly done by in the refereeing standards. What did you two lads think of the refereeing performance?
Steve?
I always look at the referee before the match to see who it is, and seen that he was Italian and thought, we may struggle here a little bit, but I think we did all right. Mm-hmm. I felt the Aussies were hanging on, and he penalised that. I don't think he got any of the decisions wrong. Like, certainly they were going past the ball with their hands on the ground and then coming back onto the ball, which is illegal. So I didn't think he got anything majorly wrong. I thought, that's just what the Aussies were doing. They were hanging on and making those crucial little errors at the breakdown. You can't put your hands on the ground. They got to be on the ball. And I didn't really have a problem with the refereeing. I thought both teams at times were penalised. Artie Severe got a really crucial one down underneath his goalposts in the second half, and that was awarded to us pretty quick. But Artie got his hands on the ball and wasn't given a chance to play it. So yeah, I didn't feel like the decisions he was making were wrong. I felt like there were a lot of penalties against Australia, but what he was calling was spot on the money.
Yeah, there were no clangers for mine, which usually they stick out. And if a referee makes a crucial decision or an error, an obvious error, then they're the sort of things that stick out. And they're sometimes the things that you remember most about a game. And I hardly remember the referee, to be fair, which is usually a good sign when it comes to a game of footy. If you don't really remember the referee being in the game, then it usually means that he wasn't in the game and he let the game flow, and it was decided by the players. So, yeah, I thought he had a pretty good game, to be fair. So I can't understand why there's all this commotion about him having a. Well, I can understand it's because
It's an All Blacks fan speaking right there, man.
Let's have a look at the other game in the Rugby Championship, because there's now only a couple of teams that can win the Rugby Championship, either the Springboks or the All Blacks. And the Springboks, well, to be fair to the Pumas, Surly, they kept this game fairly tight up to half time, and then the Springboks just put the foot down, went into overdrive, and wow, they were really, really good.
Yeah, I guess up to the 60-minute mark, down, 9 points, you would say Argentina were in that game, but then 4 tries in the last 20 minutes, and they just blew them off the park to make the scoreline look like there was only ever one team in the contest. But I thought Argentina hung tough for a long time. Everyone's talking about him, but Sasha Feinberg, man, that has got to be one of the better individual performances that we've seen in a little while. The bloke appears to be able to do it all. He's athletic, great kicking game, and he's an exciting talent to watch. And yeah, the Boks, they really did turn it on and score some great tries. I do think the scoreline is a little bit harsh on Argentina, but at the same time, like the littlest of errors, the best teams in the game will make you pay, and that's exactly what the Boks did. And those 4 tries late made sure this was a convincing win. But yeah, it was a good game to watch. I watched 20 minutes, the extended highlights, that version, and it was entertaining. There were some great tries scored in there.
Steve, how impressed have you been with the Springboks in this Rugby Championship? It seems that they can make wholesale changes from one test to the next and not really miss a beat. They've been very, very good.
Yeah, I think they found their running game, right? I've been very disappointed with them in the last multiple years for just playing that boring Northern Hemisphere style. And I think, Sleeping Giant has woken up. They found their running game. Those boys are fast. They're great on their feet. And with 20 to go, they almost break into the All Blacks game now, where they're getting over the advantage line at will, and they're just scoring points and very hard to stop. So, for me, I'm more scared than anything else that what they've produced in their last few matches when they've decided to run the ball is phenomenal. And they're all young kids, and that's another generation of South African rugby playing a style that is entertaining. And finally it's here, and it's going to take some beating.
And they can fall back on that boring style if they need to. If they need to change the way they want to play, they can fall back, because they're very, very good at doing that style, that Northern Hemisphere style of keeping hold of possession, playing for field position, kicking the points when they come. So they really do have a wide range of attacking styles depending on what sort of game plan and what sort of team they want to go with. But boy, they are building a whole heap of depth there. And Surly, do you put some of that down to the fact that, they're allowed to play, some of their players are allowed to play overseas? They don't mind if, that, in fact, the more players that they have playing at a high level, the better it is, obviously, for the Springboks. And it seems to be coming to fruition here.
Yeah, I think they've also got a coaching staff that is allowing them to play and encouraging them to play and be themselves. They've got different players that can execute different game plans. One mentions the Tony Brown factor, but I don't think it is a coincidence that all of a sudden guys feel like they're a bit more free to throw the footy around. But yeah, this international thing isn't going to go away, is it? The eligibility, like everyone's talking about it now with the Wallabies, because Mark Aussies coming back and he's going to go play in Japan or Europe and still be eligible for the World Cup. So yeah, this debate is going to rage on for a very long time, but there's no doubt our rugby has suffered at the hands of South Africa leaving Super Rugby, and it appears that they are still growing in leaps and bounds playing in that competition over there. So yeah, this debate is going to continue for very, very long, and it's only going to be fueled more if South Africa remain the best team in the world. That's for sure.
Well, we've already seen it with our netball players, where they previously had to all been playing in New Zealand to be then eligible to play for the Silver Ferns. Steve, that's now changed they can play in the Australian competition and still be eligible for the Silver Ferns. Can you see a time where the same sort of format is laid down for the All Blacks as well, where we see some All Blacks playing in Japan or in Europe and still being able to be selected for the New Zealand national side?
Yeah, I'm just not sure right now who from overseas we would select. Like, what players currently playing overseas that you would bring straight back into the All Black team?
Richie, probably apart from that though, there's only one or two for sure. But
Richie's signed, so he'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be back Super Rugby next year. So he's still contracted to his club up there. I'm not entirely sure who you would choose at the moment. I think we've got everyone playing here that we want playing here right now.
Righty-ho. Let's move on to this week. The two big test matches in the Rugby Championship. And the first one this Saturday, the Wallabies, and now they have moved. I had a look at this market yesterday. Wallabies were around $2.60. They're now into $2.50. The All Blacks out to $1.50. I don't remember the last time the All Blacks were $1.50 in a test match. They're 5.5 point favourites, the All Blacks, and the game total set at 58.5. Surely, where do you go here in terms of the, I guess, the All Blacks? Is that enticing enough for you, the $1.50?
with the two players coming back to the Wallabies, that makes them a little bit more appealing to me at $2.50. I think the Perth factor, it all comes into play. Obviously, I'll always back the All Blacks. I was hoping for a little bit better than $1.50, and I'm really confused as to the margins, that's for sure. I think 1 to 12 is probably the best bet there if you're an All Blacks fan. I reckon this is going to be a very close game, and this is the one that I had Aussie winning when I first saw the draw. And then, that Skelton Valentini news for them is huge. I reckon that's a real needle mover. And like their forward pack, they're going to look completely different this week. So we've got a couple injuries. I'm interested to see our team be named as well. But that $2.50 for the Wallabies, 1 to 12, I think it's at $3.50 odd. It is kind of appealing.
We saw our good friend Carlo Tizzano dot down in the test match.
What a
guy. He just continues to score tries, but it will be interesting to see the makeup of that Wallaby team. But Steve, if you look at those, or did you ever play in Perth? Did you ever play a test out west?
Not a test out there, but played the Western Force a few times in Perth. We don't traditionally travel that well to Perth. I think we've only won one game there. I think the Aussies have got some serious fodder back, and I'm concerned that Bodie Barrett won't be playing. Caleb possibly not, and a few others. So I feel with what Aussie are bringing back, playing at home, we haven't backed up a Rugby Championship match this year. We've gone 1-1, lost 1 the whole campaign. So $1.50 is not a lot of value for me. But the Aussies 1 to 12 at nearly $3.50 is certainly a place where if I could ever bring myself to do that I'd throw some money. But it's definitely not going to be this week. I'd prefer to maybe throw some money on another fixture rather than against the All Blacks.
Well, let's have a look at another fixture then. Argentina up against the Springboks. This one at Twickenham. And Argentina are $5. Springboks $1.16. They're 13.5 point favourites, the Springboks. The game total set at 56.5. So we'll stay with you, Steve. With that first half performance by the Pumas in South Africa last weekend, in fact, the first 55, 60 minutes of that match, they were right in the game. Is that 13.5 enough to entice you with the game being played at Twickenham?
I think the Argies can win this. I still feel sometimes the Springboks can get a bit ahead of themselves, and they've had a couple of great wins, and we're going to Twickenham, something a little bit different. It saves around the world trip. It pretty much keeps you in the same time zone as what they were. So I just feel the Argies are due, and when they get it right, like they got to stay in the fight. They're in the fight up into 60 minutes. They just got to get a little bit better at staying in the fight. So. Yeah, I think RG can win this at $5? I'm thinking that maybe yes. What are they paying for winning margin of 1 to 12 is $6.50. So you know what? That's going to have a little bit of my money this week.
Surely, let's not forget these Pumas beat the All Blacks earlier this season. They've shown, and they've beaten Australia in Australia. They have shown that they're right in this Rugby Championship competition. Of course, they can't win the actual trophy now, but they can certainly. They'd love to finish the competition on a high, I'm sure, with a win over the Springboks.
Yeah, and they're proud, passionate people, aren't they? They would have been a bit disappointed with how that game finished, so they'll want to come out and make a statement. Great opportunity to do so. Russie's already named his team. It's pretty similar to last week, so I do think that line is way too much. What was it, 13.5? That's been factored by the end scoreline, not how 60 minutes of that game played out. So I think Argentina plus 13.5, if you can get them with that head start in Twickenham, I don't mind that at all.
Right,
you got to remember, most of those boys play in Europe, most of the Argentinians, so they're sleeping in their home beds this week.
Like a home away from home.
Yeah.
Right. Let's move on. We're running out of time, and we've got other people moving into the studio in the not too distant future. I've got a question for you guys. One more round of the regular season for the NPC, and then we're into the playoffs. So I want you to put get your crystal balls out and tell me which two teams are going to be in the big final of the NPC. We'll start with you first, Shirley.
Before looking at the ladder, wanted to say that it would be Canterbury against Taranaki, but I'm not sure that can happen. They play each other this week. I think Canterbury will beat them. Taranaki will drop down, and I have a feeling they will meet each other before the final, unfortunately. I think with that in mind, my next option would be Canterbury versus Otago. They've been the two best teams all year, and I think it could play out that way. But Taranaki, for me, are still that team outside of the top two that could win it. That's who I want to win it. Them or Bay of Plenty. Now that it looks like North Harbour aren't going to make it in the mix. I refuse to give up. There's crazier things that have happened. There could be 5 teams struck down with illness and we get catapulted up into the 8th position. Oh, we need more than 5, actually. We need about 7. But yeah, I refuse to give up. But yeah, I think the top 2, Canterbury and Otago, but Taranaki would be my side outside of those 2.
I can't believe
I heard the rest of the country below the Bombay Hills has COVID and may go into lockdown.
Oh, don't.
That is the only way North Harbour is making a quarterfinal.
Mate, we could get a Battle of the Bridge final just because the rest of the nation's unavailable. I like it.
I can't believe the bookies have made North Harbour favourites this weekend. We'll get to that a bit later. I guess they've got a whole lot more to play for than Southland, to be fair. But Steve, which 2 teams do you think will make the big final of the NPC?
I actually hope it's Otago and Bay of Plenty. So depending on how results go this weekend, I don't think it's possible because they may have to play each other at some stage. I just think Otago, I really like the way Otago have played their footy this year, so they're definitely an in for me. And I just can't bring myself to say Canterbury will be there, so I'm going to go Bay of Plenty, who I think are the next best.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think Otago will definitely be there. By now, they would have been over their Ranfurly Shield celebrations, having locked it away, the log of wood, for another season. I see Otago getting there. The most likely opponent would be Canterbury, but I'd like to make a case for Hawke's Bay. I think they've been very, very good throughout the year. Once again, it all depends on where the teams finish finally on the ladder. But I'm going for an Otago Hawke's Bay big final.
Something else to factor in, right? There's going to be a 3-week period there where some All Blacks might be released at a very important time. So I guess you got to look at who benefits the most out of those kind of fringe guys that have been sitting outside of the starting 15, 23, that might come back into these teams for quarters and semis, because that can change. We've seen it with Wellington, who won't be there, but we've seen it with Wellington and how much having those guys back in their team can completely change results.
Yeah, what did they get? They got Ruben Love, Kyle Preston, Peter Larkai.
Yeah.
And that made I think that was their biggest win of the season, wasn't it? When those 3 players came back, they put 70-odd points on. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see what All Blacks do filter back in over the final, over the playoff period, to be fair. Let's have a look at I guess we should look back on some of the games from last week very, very quickly. Hawke's Bay were way too good for Auckland. Tasman the same against Southland. Otago repelled that wonderful Shield challenge by North Harbour.
Thank you.
Taranaki, too good for Wellington. Bay of Plenty. Wowee. Defensively was just so good against Waikato. Counties Manukau, once again, in a high-scoring match over the top of Manawatu. And then the Taniwha, who, if any other teams were watching, showed that Canterbury do have a few weaknesses and thoroughly deserve that draw, 19-all up there in Northland. But out of those matches, Steve, is there anyone that or any game you want to sort of pick out and go, I was really impressed with the way that this team went?
Well, I actually tipped the Taniwha and almost got them home there in the end. At 450, I thought they're a chance. Canterbury just lost the Shield. You tend to have a bit of a flat week post that, and then they almost got the job done for me. So another big one this weekend for the Taniwha, and if they can get up against Waikato, we'll be in the top 8, and then we can dare to dream.
Shirley, any game that you want to? Well, obviously you want to focus on the Shield Challenge, don't you, from last week?
Not really. Not really. Look, brave first 40 minutes. No one gave us a shot except for the diehards, and we really showed it up and rattled a few cages. But yeah, true to form, we just fell away in the second half. We've had some good first halves this year. We just can't win games, man. Otago were way better than us, to be fair.
Right, let's get to your pick and go NPC MVP points for last weekend. We'll start with you, Shirley. Where are you going?
Can we go to Steve first? I need a couple minutes here to come up with something.
Steve?
I had Pledger again for my 3. He's a special little talent, this boy, and I hope we look after him in the coming years, because I know we've got one pretty good halfback. We've definitely got another really good halfback. So Pledger for me for 3. Kieran Tamofialau. I thought he was outstanding. Back to some of his best. I know the All Blacks are getting ready for an end of season tour where they're going to take some extra wingers. I felt like he really threw his hand up. And then also Josh Jacob. He had a rough couple of weeks. He's back to playing some pretty good footy, and once again he's there or thereabouts. So he's a great little footy player, and I hear he's got some pretty tough conversations coming up with the Chiefs about the possibility of being asking if he can go to Otago, which will see him play an awful lot more footy.
Wowee. Well, certainly it'd be very, very good for New Zealand rugby if we can get another first 5-8 getting regular game time just to bulk up those stocks, because as we see, when Bodie goes down, the next obvious is he obvious? D-Mac, I guess, slots into the 10 jersey for the All Blacks, or do they try Ruben Love? Once again, Ruben doesn't play a hell of a lot of 10 either at Super Rugby level or at NPC level, so then where do you go? You go to the likes of Josh Jacob Rivers Rehana. I don't know after that. So it'll be an interesting conversation. But Surly, your points for the MVP?
Yeah, I'll go Pledger as my max points. Love watching him play. Didn't love watching him play in that game, but yeah, he is a great talent. I'll go McClutchy as my next. I thought he was good against Auckland. And I know that Steve doesn't want to mention that game, so that's why I'll bring it up.
You just said that because Harbour lost.
Because I've copped it there. And then I'll go Kurt Eklund for my one. I think he's massive for that Bay of Plenty team in terms of not just the player he is, but the leader he is as well. Big fan of his, so he gets my one.
Wow, where have we got it? I just want to see if we've got the actual scoreboard so that I can read it out. Where am I? Oh, that's the wrong one. Jeez. Funnily enough, I went Signer for my 5 points as well. Let me just see if I can bring up.
Pledger. I was going to say.
Oh, gee. Hold on. Let me see. I can bring up another one. Oh, I'll have to come back to the leaderboard, unfortunately. I also had Pleasure for 5 points. I was also impressed with McClutchy at for Hawke's Bay. I thought he was very, very. He really does guide that team around very, very adeptly. And I also went for number one and for the Otago Lucy, who I gave 5 points to last weekend. Lucas Casey. So 1 point for him. He might be another one that we see on the end of year tour. He really has been flying.
Did you see his contract for next year with the Highlanders as a development contract? That's got to be.
What?
Yeah, he's development for next year, full contract for 27. That must be because they've got barely any spots left, right? Surely that's the most well-played development. There's talk of him going to join the Sevens next year instead.
Wow. Well, okay, let's quickly have a look at a couple of games this weekend. And one game that I know Surly really wants to have a look at, North Harbour up against Southland. North Harbour are favourites in this game, I know. I've just refreshed the page. North Harbour, $1.50, Southland, $2.50. They're 5.5 point favourites, North Harbour. The game total set at 55.5. Surly, tell us why North Harbour are going to pick up their first win of the season.
Well, yeah, there's a lot riding on this one for us. There's not a lot for Southland. You know, winning the Shield made their season a success over the last 4 weeks. They've been woeful. They've conceded 248 points, averaging 62 points defensively a game. North Harbour, we're bad, but I feel like we can hang in games. We've played patches of some pretty good footy over the last month or so. So I think this is the one where we finally close out a game and get a win in front of myself and 12 others at North Harbour Stadium. It's going to be few and far between the bums on seats factor, but Friday night footy at the Dog Pound, North Harbour get the dub. We still leave with a wooden spoon, but we leave with some pride. Everyone remembers your last performance. We'll roll that into a Super Saturday, Sunday, Mad Monday, and all will be swept under the rug for at least a couple days as North Harbour pull off a famous win against the powerhouse of Southland.
Was that your phone, Steve? Was that the North Harbour coach ringing you to see if you could put your boots on?
That was. I actually rang before to get some tickets. I'm going to head over and watch North Harbour play.
Geez, it wouldn't be hard to get some tickets, that's for sure. And I don't know if we have a coach, do we? Has he still got a gig? What's the go?
I was actually lying. There's no way I'm going to watch that rubbish.
Oh, gee.
Match of the round, according to the run sheet. Come on.
In terms of the
Southland
game,
will win that. Southland will win that every day of the week.
Oh, there's no way.
I heard they're bussing up as well. They're going to bus the whole way.
Well, they're that confident.
Yeah.
Well, another game that we should look at because it has huge ramifications for the teams that will make the 8. It's Waikato up against the Taniwha. And Waikato are $1.60. The Taniwha $2.30. They're 3.5 point underdogs. The Taniwha, and the game total is set at 56.5. But these two teams currently sit in 7th and 8th place on the ladder. Waikato are on 25 points. Northland are on 24 points. So the winner will guarantee themselves a spot in the final, but the loser will be cautiously watching how counties go in their big game against Tasman. Now, Tasman could do those two teams a big favour by knocking over counties, and they are very, very warm favourites, Tasman, to be fair. But counties have everything to play for. I'm sure they'll show the ball a wee bit of air. But in terms of the Waikato Northland game, surely after that performance against Canterbury last weekend, Steve, the Taniwha are a big chance here.
Yeah, they're a chance. They're a good footy team. I understand it's probably going to be a pretty tough travel day for them. I'm probably a good chance that they're bussing all those 5 hours from Whangarei down to Hamilton. I feel Waikato was so poor the week before that they will bounce back pretty hard, just like the All Blacks did on the weekend. Sometimes when you have a horrific performance, you train with a bit more attitude. And so, yeah, I feel that's going to be a really, really tight match, and that's going to decide playoff spots. So plenty to play for. And I'm also picking counties as well over Tasman. I just think this counties team the last 3 weeks have scored, over 50 in the last 3 weeks in a row, sometimes over 60. So I think this counties team can actually knock over Tasman at $3. I think that's a great little bet.
Yeah, Steve, counties have scored 48, 49 and 64 points in their last three matches. But in terms of this Waikato Northland matchup, the Taniwha, can they get up over the top of the Mulu men?
I think they can. If they get it right, they can definitely. I rate the Taniwha, and they're tough. They play for each other, and I think if they get it right, they definitely can win, which will be nice to see the Taniwha in the top 8.
Shirley?
Yeah, I agree. I think Northland have been more consistent than Waikato throughout this year. I feel like I can trust them more than the Mulus, and I expect an emotional bounce back for sure, because they would have been gutted they got towed up by Bay of Plenty, that's for sure. But the $2.30 for me, Northland, they're on my bets this week. I'm getting around them, which is probably a bad thing for them. I'd love to know where Pity's headed, just so we can avoid that completely. It seems like the last 2 weeks he's just gapped it to Japan, anywhere basically but jumping on the pod, because he doesn't want to give out any bets. But yeah, I've got Northland. I feel like I can trust them more than Waikato, but I do think it's going to be very tight. And I agree with that counties call.
Beautiful. Okay. That's a great segue, I think, into a wee bit of betting. So you were successful last weekend, Steve. Can you keep the roll on? Are we going to see a 6 or 7 leg multi from you today?
No, we're not. I'm gonna have a little safety bet of $50 on Bay of Plenty to win and Hawke's Bay to win at 13 plus.
Both of them to win 13 plus?
No, just the Bay to win.
Okay.
And then Bay of Plenty to win 13 plus, which is $2.65. So that's $50. And then I'm going to do $25 on counties to win at $3. And then I'm going to do $25 for Argentina to win 1 to 12 at whatever we said, $6.50 or something.
Here we go. Nice. Shirley, where are you going to go?
Oh, I feel like a real meow now doing my bets after those. Those were some courageous bets. I have Northland to beat Waikato head-to-head, and then, of course, I have the mighty North Harbour head-to-head at $1.50. We should be paying $3, but I'll back the boys, and that's a multi there at $3.45. And then, as I alluded to before, I couldn't find myself to bet on Australia, but I do think this game is going to be close. So the either team by under 7.5 point try bet at $2.50 for that All Blacks Wallabies game. That'll get my second $50. I'm down $80. I'm just trying to claw away at that and see if I can get myself back in the green.
That's not bad gambling, considering I know you do it responsibly, but it's not bad when you've been betting North Harbour all season. They haven't won a game.
Yeah, but look, imagine now if I jumped off and they win, I'd be absolute. And I was going to go 1 to 12, but I thought, you know what, this could be the game where it finally clicks for the boys. You know, we've been waiting long enough. It's got to click at some point, doesn't it? Maybe not.
But
I can't wait. I can't wait to have your heart broken and your TAB account broken by Manson, who's going to gas everyone at the end to score a try.
unfortunately, there's no pity here for you to get him to bet on Southland to win that game and help you out a wee bit. So I'll go with a couple of bets myself. I'm going to have a Rugby Championship double. I'm going to take the Wallabies plus 5.5 into the Argentinians plus 13.5. I'll put $50 on that, and then I'll have a little $50 multi on the NPC. I'm going to take,
Take Southland.
I'm going to take Southland at $2.50, and I'm going to take them into. I'm going to take them into Canterbury at $1.45 and Hawke's Bay at $1.25. So Southland to win, Hawke's Bay to win, Canterbury to win. $50 on. Right, that's it for another week here. Surly, you heading along to watch Harbour in their final game of the season?
Yeah, sure am. Friday night. Been given corporate tickets. I'm not sure what type of corporate facilities North Harbour have. But,
on the grass.
Yeah, who knows, mate? Who knows? I might take my boots just in case things go horribly wrong as well and I get a crack. But yeah, I'll be there. I'm sure I won't have to sit in traffic or anything to get to the stadium. It'll be free flowing, but you wait after. It's going to be parades through Takapuna, mate. Parades.
Rightio.
A little bit of vomit just came up in my mouth then.
Steve, you won't be
If we
getting
lose,
along.
I'm going to throw wooden spoons on the field, even though we've won them anyway.
Steve, what are you up to? You heading along to Eden Park?
And I think Auckland are playing at Auckland Grammar
At Grammar, yeah.
this week, which is pretty cool. What I'm up to for the weekend, I actually got some friends coming around. I'm cooking a big dinner on a Sunday, probably like a long lunch. So it's just going to be an entertaining weekend. Have the footy on the TV and see where we end up.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Okay.
What are you doing, Paulie? Are you staying up till 10:45 to watch the All Blacks, or is that past your bedtime?
No, well, we're going to have a bit of a wine and punting day on Saturday. There's some great Group 1 racing coming out of Australia this weekend with the Epsom Handicap, the Turnbull, the Metrop. So, yeah, we're going to open up a few bottles of wine, have a few punts. So if I do make it to 10:45, I'll be very proud of myself because on Sunday I've been roped in. I've got to do a bit of spring cleaning at home and doing 2 or 3 trips to the dump to clear out a whole lot of stuff that I should have thrown away a long, long time ago. So,
mate, if the punting goes well, then just buy a new house.
Yeah.
We're about to make an offer on one, so I'll let you know how we go there, Steve.
Spring racing to spring cleaning. That's a real multi-weekend, mate. Oh, well.
Sometimes it's easier just to burn it down, Paulie.
Speaking from a fireman, here we go.
Oh, geez. They'll be able to use this as evidence in court. Righty-ho. That's it for another week of the Pick and Go. Thanks to Steve Devine. Thanks to Ben Searle. And thanks to you guys for tuning in and watching. And we'll be back again next week, hopefully with Piti Wupu. Maybe he'll have a few extra yen in the pocket. I'm hoping so. But until then, all the best.
Go Harbour.